Hello, hello, my friends. It is time for some candle empties. And when I tell you some candle empties, well, I didn't exactly get around to sharing my candle empties from the end of October with all of you guys. Pulling back the curtain, I actually have not sat in front of the camera in about 3 weeks. So this feels a little bit foreign right now. So I'm hoping this video will go somewhat smoothly today. But because my life has just been pretty busy over the last few weeks, nothing bad, all good things. I just really haven't had the time to sit down in front of the camera and share with you a lot of like new stuff that I've had come in, as well as share with you the things that are going out. And so this is a series that I typically like to do on my channel twice a month. Usually I will do it middle of the month. I'll share the empties with you, and then also at the end of the month. But like I said, I didn't get around to it at the end of October, and now here we are. We've blinked. It is already mid-November. And so I'm just kind of combining those two videos in one. So if you like empties videos like I do, make sure you grab a snack, grab a drink, get ready to settle in, because I think I have over 20 candles to share with you today. And I actually have a variety of brands. I've got Bath & Body Works, HOMEWORX. I've got a lot of HOMEWORX here, you guys. Kringle. I even have a Yankee and a caramel sundaes, or caramel sundaes, however we pronounce that word. So yeah, ready to talk about some candles, because I think especially as we're coming into this time of year where a lot of candles are going on clearance, or we're seeing a lot of sales, I bet the sales are just going to be kicking up full force within the next couple of weeks as we are getting ready to celebrate the Thanksgiving holiday here in the United States. I figure, you know what, you probably want some opinions on some of these fragrances. So as always, everything that I am talking about today will be listed and linked down below with timestamps. If I have any affiliate discount codes, you can find those down below as well. Stay tuned. I am hoping to film, after I film this video today, I'm hoping to sit down and film my November candle chat video with you. And so I'll be giving you some initial post-burn sniffs in that video. But all of these candles, quite a few of them, I also have some dedicated post-burn reviews on. So if I have done videos like that, then those will also be found in the description box. So please make sure you hit thumbs up button if you really enjoy this video. Make sure you subscribe if you are new. And let's not waste any more time on this intro. Let's go ahead and talk about a lot of these candles. So I'm going to go ahead and start out with fragrances that I know that I finished burning in the month of October, because they were more like fall scents. You can actually see from the decor in my background, I have already decorated my house for Christmas. That is something that I recently started doing over the last couple of years. I just realized that, you know what, I love my home decorated for Christmas. My Christmas tree over here to the right, I love the lights and the ambiance at night. And so I have been, I used to just decorate for Christmas like on Thanksgiving Day or the day after Thanksgiving. But in recent years, I've moved it up to usually around Veterans Day. And so that's what I did over the last weekend. And it makes me very happy. So anyways, a lot of these fall fragrances, I really wanted to finish burning. I prioritized, I'm sorry, you guys, I have a little bit of an itch in my eye right here, and I really don't want to have to edit that out. So it just is what it is. All right, let's go ahead and talk about Kringle Candle, their 3-wick of Kittens and Cashmere. Now, I was sent the 2-wick large tumbler in PR way back in, I think that was July, when they launched their fall collection. Fragrance notes on here of ozone, green, herbal, fir needle, eucalyptus mint, herbal, and amber musk. That's what it said on here. Now, I likened this candle to a baby between Bath & Body Works Sweater Weather as well as Kringle Candle's Winter Woods. There's some elements of both of those in this candle. It was a very fresh, outdoorsy, kind of minty type of fragrance, but you get some of that eucalyptus and juniper in there. Really, really good fragrance. Now, like I said, I burned through the first one that I got, which was the 2-wick tumbler, the large jar, and I did repurchase it in this 3-wick. I did find that the strength and throw on the 3-wick was a little bit greater than the 2-wick. That does usually tend to be my experience with a lot of Kringle candles, but anyways, I did enjoy this candle enough that I went through 2 of them. I don't have any more in my collection, and I don't really feel right now the need to buy a backup, because I am a very seasonal burner. And if you have been with my channel any length of time, especially throughout this last year, you guys know that I've been very, very intentional in getting my candle collection whittled down. For me, I get overwhelmed by too much clutter. I'm not saying that's what you need to do, but if it comes back into stock next year, or it stays in stock, I could definitely see myself purchasing another one of those for next fall. Let's talk about a Bath & Body Works candle that I love the fragrance. It's not a new scent, but this particular iteration of it disappointed me. This is Bath & Body Works Pumpkin Clove. Now, I did purchase 2 of these this year. My first one seemed to do better, and it's kind of weird because it's in the same packaging style, but I think it's the different batch numbers. So Pumpkin Clove has fragrance notes of clove buds, ground cinnamon, and a pinch of nutmeg and fresh pumpkin. And this is a fragrance that's been around at Bath & Body Works for a long, long time. You definitely get all of those elements in there. It is very clove heavy, so if you don't like clove, you wouldn't like it. But the problem I had with this one, you will see that there's only halfway burned on this because the wicks on this were very slow burning, almost puny like, but they did, when they were burning like that, it did alter the fragrance. So that way, what I ended up doing was I did end up sticking this candle into a candle crock and enjoying it that way the rest of its life. I prefer not to use candle crocks, just if you want a little bit of a backstory on me. I will use them if necessary. In fact, you're going to see another candle in here that I did end up crocking. I don't love to use my candle crock because I do feel like then it locks me into what fragrances I can combine when I am burning other candles. I am somebody who typically burns 2 or 3 candles at a time in my house. At one time. So I'll usually place one out here in the living room, one will be in the master bedroom, and then usually maybe one in like a guest bathroom or one of the other bedrooms of my house. But anyways, this fragrance, I like the fragrance, but this particular burn for me was not very good. So I would caution, I mean, if this one comes around for SAS or maybe any kind of like, post-fall clearance or anything like that, if you can get it super, super cheap, I guess, if you're going to plan to crock it, but the burn on it wasn't very good. I did finish burning another autumn pumpkin from HOMEWORX. This is one of my favorite pumpkin fragrances from HOMEWORX. I would say it's a tie between this one and, like, if we're just looking for straight pumpkin fragrances, I like autumn pumpkin from them, and I also like their farm stand pumpkin. Those are probably my favorite pumpkin fragrances from the brand. Fragrance notes on here of pumpkin, orange, cardamom, cinnamon, clove, and nutmeg. This does have a little bit, this is more of like a brighter pumpkin scent. That's the way that I would describe it. It's not as like creamy or super gourmand. You get a little hint of that citrus in there, but your mind doesn't necessarily acknowledge that as being a citrus. At least that's how my mind perceives it. This one, again, burned down decently. What I do find with HOMEWORX candles, it's kind of interesting. They either burn like all the way good down to the last drop, or sometimes I notice that there's probably like a good, maybe 1/4 of an inch of wax left when the wicks go out, which I think is actually probably the proper way. When I look at a lot of candle brands, they do say usually, you don't want to burn it anymore after you've got like that 1/4 inch of wax. So maybe that's an adjustment that HOMEWORX has made. But anyways, this is the second one that I did go through from this year. It performed well for me, definitely had good strength and throw. This is a fragrance that honestly, there are 2 fall fragrances that are available in the Luxe Candles on the Slatkin & Co website. And they're probably 2 of my favorite fall fragrances. They're kind of like classics in the HOMEWORX lineup, Autumn Pumpkin as well as Harvest Leaves. Those 2 are both ones that I would definitely repurchase year in and year out. So I did finish burning another Autumn Pumpkin. Another fragrance that I burned 2 of this year was Haunted Apple Nights. The first candle that I got from HOMEWORX in this fragrance was sent to me in PR, but I did go ahead and repurchase a second one, and that is the one that I finished here. Fragrance notes of crimson apple, blood orange, black vanilla, blackberry. This candle was a powerhouse for me. It was like a solid 8.5, 9, and I did remember seeing in the HOMEWORX Facebook group that some people weren't getting that, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, because mine really, really performed well for me. This is very similar. It bears some similarities to Bath & Body Works Leaves. It's not a dupe. It's not the exact same fragrance. But if you happen to like Bath & Body Works Leaves, you would like this fragrance. Very apple heavy. There's some sweetness in there, a little bit of an outdoorsy vibe. So I really, really enjoyed this one. And this was beautiful when it was lit up too. I loved the ambiance that was created like behind this like tree line here. It was really, really nice. I'm trying to like throw my candles off to the side here, but not break any of them at the same time. All right, here is a candle that I was so bummed to see that Kringle did not bring back this year in their reserve lineup. This is Great Pumpkin. This was from their fall 2023 lineup. Now, back in the fall of 2023, I purchased one of these, fell in love with it, went on the website and ordered 2 more. And I'm so glad that I did, because I still have 1 more in my backup stash that I will probably hold on to for next fall. Great Pumpkin does not have the fragrance notes on this, but it does. It's like a, it's definitely a gourmand pumpkin. You got like, just like a pumpkin spices in here. You get a little bit of like, maybe like a toffee note, especially when I'm burning it. I smell a little bit more of a toffee note come out. It's just a good, it's not necessarily like a creamy pumpkin scent. It's definitely like pumpkin spice and toffee to my nose. But again, this one was a great performer for me. The only thing that you will see, when you look at this up close, I do put that in. You see that there's only one wick right there. Well, what happened, I have about, I would say, if I'm looking at this vessel, it's kind of hard to see it. I have maybe about like half an inch of wax left in this. But what ended up happening is what happens with a lot of my Kringle candles is that their wick clips detach once they receive that full wax pool towards the bottom here. And when I went to extinguish it with a wick dipper, it fell over, and it was at night, and I was just lazy and I just assumed that the wick was still standing up. And then the next day when I went to go light it again, I was like, oh no, the wick fell over into the wax pool. So that's the only bummer. I mean, could I have thrown it into a crock to get like a final little day and a half, maybe 2 days of fragrance out of it? Sure. But I didn't really want to do that because, again, I'm not really a huge fan of using candle crocks. And then let's see, I finished another Kringle candle that is a perennial repurchase for me every fall. This is Autumn Amber. You can see, look at this, you guys. I burned that like really far down there, like barely any wax left on this one. This is one of those fragrances that I feel like is very underrated at Kringle. Not a lot of people talk about this. However, if you are a fan of Bath & Body Works Autumn, which did not make its way back to Bath & Body Works this year. I don't know why. That is such an amazing fragrance. It's kind of in that family of leaves, a little bit different take on it. I feel like it's, I actually like it a little bit more than leaves. But this fragrance is a dupe. It's very similar. So if you like Bath & Body Works Autumn, if you miss it in your collection, I would keep your eyes peeled. At the time that I am filming this, I'm not sure if this is one of the fragrances that's included. Kringle's running a pretty good sale on their website right now. It's like a 30% off. I would anticipate their Black Friday sale might be a little bit greater savings. But this is a fragrance that I would highly recommend having in your collection if you like Bath & Body Works Autumn, because this has a very similar fragrance. Strength and throw on this one is around a 6. It's not going to be like, burning down, I don't want to say burning down the house. We don't want to say that, especially with candles. But it's not going to be like a total house filler, but it definitely will fill up a more closed concept room, or if you have a more closed concept style of home, it'll definitely fill it up. But I purchase this fragrance every year because I just love it so very much. Here's the fragrance that a lot of people were very sour about. And this I actually do have 2 of these in my collection. So this is the cute Black Cat on a Pumpkin. You guys know that I'm not really a big Halloween fan. However, this, I am a huge cat lover. And so when I saw this candle was going to be released in some of the like the vintage print lineup with Kringle. It was a special collab that they did, gosh, a couple of months ago now. This was the fragrance that sold out, I think, in less than 7 minutes when it went live on the website. There was a lot of controversy about that. Fragrance notes on here are black cinnamon, cassia, clove, sweet cream accord, white pumpkin, nutmeg, vanilla, musk, tonka, black sugar. This candle actually reminded me a lot of it was kind of like a mix between their Sugar Pumpkins fragrance and, what's the other one? Gorgeous. Like, I felt like it was kind of like if those 2 candles had a baby. It's definitely a gourmand pumpkin, leans a little bit more white pumpkin to my nose. You've got some pumpkin spices in there. Just a very warm, cozy type of fragrance. Now, the reason that I have 2 of these is because I actually was able to do a little switcheroo with one of my subscribers, Riley. She and I did a little bit of an exchange because she said she felt like this fragrance was a little bit too sweet for her. And so she had reached out and, we went ahead and conducted a little bit of an exchange. I think I ended up sending her was it Sinister? I think it was Sinister candle from the Halloween lineup. So I do have 1 more of these, and I will definitely, I think, save the vessel just for the packaging because I think that it is absolutely adorable. All right, heading back into the HOMEWORX territory here, another fall fragrance that is one that I think they have this still available, maybe in like the sale or clearance section on the website. This is Palo Santo Pumpkin in the 4-wick. I think they also have it listed in a 3-wick. Fragrance notes on here are Palo Santo, pumpkin puree, cinnamon stick, suede wood. This is one of my favorite fragrances from HOMEWORX in the fall. It's earthy, it's smoky, little bit of sweetness, but it's not smoky in my eyes like a bonfire, or it's not like a firewood smoky to me. It's definitely that like resinous Palo Santo smokiness, almost like I don't want to say medicinal smokiness, but kind of. Oh, I just love this one so much. And there is a little bit of sweetness from like a pumpkin puree in here. I've every year that this candle has been available, it has been in my collection. And again, it kind of has that like eerie vibe to it, which again, I'm not really into like spooky things, but I feel that it's almost, there's kind of a beauty in that as well. So that was a fragrance that I was really happy this year when they brought it back, because I think last year in 2023, when I had this candle, it was super, super light and I was really disappointed in the performance. But the performance of the 2024 version was a lot better. It was definitely, I would say, around like a 7.5 for me in terms of strength and throw, which I was happy with. Now, here's another fragrance that I love from HOMEWORX. This is Pumpkin Cold Brew. Fragrance notes on this are sweet pumpkin, espresso, toffee, and vanilla cream. And this is the second one that I went through this year. However, you are going to see I have an awful lot of wax left in this candle. And the reason why is because my wicks dudded out on this, and my wicks dudded out like this on the first one that I had too. So I'm starting to think that it is something to do with this year's pour of this candle. The fragrance in and of itself is lovely. And it's funny, I think I detect more of an espresso note the second go around than I did in the first candle that I burned. The first one that I burned a couple of months ago, I was definitely detecting maybe a little bit of espresso in there. But it was more so definitely like a good, just like warm pumpkin type of scent, not gourmand. Little bit of sweetness, but it's not your typical bakery pumpkin type of sweetness. The espresso note in here is done really, really well. I like it. However, the thing is, once these candles get puny like this and then they're struggling to pull out, what ends up happening with that espresso note is it smells almost a little bit scorched. And so that's why I've just decided to call it quits on this candle. But that was kind of a bummer. That was the only thing that has me preventing buying a backup of this year's version. If HOMEWORX releases this fragrance again next year, I would repurchase it. But for this year's version, just because I've had two of them now that the wicks dudded out towards the end, I can't confidently purchase another one. Let's see here, moving my candles around. We don't want them to fall on the tile, come crashing down. We have Cranberry Sauce. I think this is from the Gather collection with HOMEWORX. Fragrance notes on here of stewed cranberries, Valencia orange peel, spiced red apple, and cane sugar. This was another fragrance that it was nice. I would give it about a 6 in terms of strength and throw. It wasn't a powerhouse. And you will notice on some of these candles when you see them up close that the wax looks all over the place. Just know that happens to be because when a candle extinguishes itself, when I'm done with the candle, I quickly just kind of want to like move it out of the way and light something else. And so when I do that, what ends up happening is the wax sometimes hasn't settled, it hasn't hardened yet, and so then it gets kind of sloshed around. But this one burned pretty well all the way down. It's not going to be a repurchase for me. It definitely smells like stewed cranberries. It's definitely like a, I think that it's very authentic to the name of the candle, Cranberry Sauce. This would be a good one to burn with your Thanksgiving dinner if you're wanting a fragrance that will maybe not try to compete with the natural fragrances that are coming from your kitchen on Thanksgiving Day, or maybe on Christmas Day if you're somebody who's making like a big turkey dinner. This I think would definitely complement those fragrances or those aromas coming from the kitchen more so than, say, I don't know, like, I don't know. There's some fragrances that you think like, that might clash, but this one I think would complement them. But that being said, it's not going to be a repurchase for me. That one was sent to me in PR, and I am always thankful to them for sending those things to me. But I'm glad I tried it out, but it was just okay for me, I guess. Another fragrance that is new to the HOMEWORX lineup this year is Cinnamon Sugar Popcorn. Fragrance notes on here are kettle corn popcorn, sweet sugar cinnamon, melted brown butter, and sweet cream. And this is a candle that, again, this one looks so funny, like right here. I promise you guys the wax was fine. It just happened to swish around when I moved it when I was done. So this is one of those candles that's a little bit funny because On cold sniff, when I smelled this, I thought, oh, this is like another take or another cousin in the hot cider donut family. And while I still do stand by that on cold sniff, I will say that when this candle is burning, I do detect more of like a kettle corn note in here. Sometimes if this one was burning too long, it started to take on what I would say was almost kind of like a burned wildfire type of scent. But I do think now that like the more that I burned it, I was like, oh no, they're going for that like kettle, you know, like the kettle vibe when it's over like a fire or whatnot. That is kind of like what you would smell in a kettle corn type of candle. But you definitely get the sweetness of a little bit of sugar in there as well as some cinnamon. It's a good fragrance. I like it. It was not a powerhouse for me. I would, again, this one was probably in that medium strength and throw for me. Not really anything that I feel like I needed to repurchase, but I was thankful to have gotten to try it out and share my thoughts with you. Another candle that a lot of people have raved about from HOMEWORX. This is cinnamon vanilla. It looks like we've got some cinnamon rolls here on the front. Fragrance notes of vanilla bean, cinnamon stick, allspice, and clove. My friend Melanie loves this one. And I like it too. It's pretty basic. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It's just like it's vanilla and maybe a little hint of like a soft cinnamon. It's not a very like smack you in the face cinnamon. Say like right now I'm actually burning Kringle Candles Frosted Spice, which is similar to Yankee Candles Sparkling Cinnamon. It's very like in your face red hot cinnamon. That's not what I got in here at all. This is definitely like a vanilla base. You get a little bit of like allspice and it's like a softer spice type of fragrance in here. Very nice. Complemented a lot of other candles in my collection, whether that be a pumpkin candle or a tree scent, or this is one I think that like I can see why people would want this fragrance in a luxe size because it is just so complimentary and non-offensive really to anybody who would be coming into your home, and it would amplify, say if you're still wanting to burn like say pumpkin fragrances, but it could also go with like a tree note, it could go with sugar cookie, it could go with maybe more of cinnamon fragrances. So it's pretty versatile. It's not going to be a repurchase for me. And also this one, trying to remember, it was not super strong for me either. Again, one of those medium strength and throw for me. A fragrance that was not a medium strength and throw, one that was a little bit stronger for me, but when you look at the fragrance notes in here, it's no surprise. This fragrance is Pumpkin Gingersnap. Fragrance notes on here of Gingersnap cookie, pumpkin spice, grated orange zest, and vanilla bean. Now, I will tell you, I didn't get any pumpkin in this. I personally am of the mindset that sometimes in the fall, I think a lot of brands throw pumpkin in for marketing reasons. But this to me, I didn't get any pumpkin. I do detect definitely like a Gingersnap cookie in here. It's a gourmand scent. I like it. I like this one a lot. I didn't order a backup of it, even though it did perform pretty well for me. This is a candle that, quite frankly, though, if I was not a candle reviewer, if I was somebody who just, I mean, I do buy for pleasure, but I am always having to incorporate and go outside of my little fragrance candle zone box. If I didn't have this channel, I feel like this is a fragrance that I would repurchase. I would want in my collection again because I do like it. Again, it's another versatile fragrance that would go really nicely right now, especially with a lot of tree fragrances. It would go well with, if you're, like I said, still burning pumpkin scents. Maybe not as versatile as the cinnamon vanilla, but it was definitely, I loved burning this one for some time. For some reason, I loved burning this in the morning. It had like kind of some warm, cozy vibes. And I honestly feel like this is a fragrance that would be nice year round if you like these like warm, kind of spicy fragrances. This one would be good. Just if you don't even want to deal with like, I mean, some people don't care about the label, but you could even just take off this like wraparound label and enjoy the fragrance year round. But this is a really nice, good, like Gingersnap fragrance, and the strength and throw was pretty good for me, medium high. I would put this one around an 8 in terms of strength and throw. So that was a good one for me. All right, I'm going to move some of this stuff over a little bit. Let's take a break from all of the HOMEWORX here because I still have more HOMEWORX to talk about. Let's talk about a Bath & Body Works candle that I finished burning. This is Christmas Cabin. I do believe that this is being marketed as a new fragrance this year at Bath & Body Works. Fragrance notes of spiced clove, crackling fireplace, cozy cabin. I do believe that I did do a dedicated review on this. So this one performed quite well for me. It's definitely It's definitely got like that clove and cinnamon in here. Do they say cinnamon? Yeah, they don't say cinnamon in here, but that's what I am smelling. It's again another kind of like spicy fragrance. But I will say the cinnamon in here kind of comes across almost I I get myself into trouble, I think, sometimes because I sound a little bit snobbish. I'm just going to be honest. A lot of Bath and Body Works candles to me, there are a few exceptions, but on the whole, you guys, a lot of Bath and Body Works candles just come across smelling artificial to me. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just that I have preferences for other fragrance brands, which I think a lot of us in the candle community do. And please know that that's no shade. Like if you love Bath and Body Works, if that's your thing, you go right on ahead and you continue to enjoy it. But I will tell you that I liked this, but it just wasn't anything so unique that I felt like I needed a ton of backups of it. It does in some way remind me a little bit, if you happen to like, HOMEWORX has a candle called Crackling Fireside. I think that's a little bit more of a sophisticated scent, but if that fragrance is out of your price range or you don't like purchasing from HOMEWORX, I do think that this is it's kind of like a cousin to that fragrance. I think that they're kind of in that similar fragrance family. I didn't detect anything super smoky from this, but I did end up one night putting this outside in the evening, and that's where it finished off. So you see, I caught one little bug in there. But yeah, it was good, but it's not anything to write home about. It did perform well for me. That one was around, like, I would say about a 7 in terms of strength and throw. But again, I think that has a lot to do with the fragrance oils that make up that blend. All right, Pistachio Macaron. This was from HOMEWORX. Fragrance notes here of roasted pistachio, freshly baked macaron, marzipan cream, and vanilla bean. And I did finish this one. I liked this. It's not a love. There is something about this. You guys are going to say this sounds like the craziest thing. I don't know why. There is something about this fragrance that reminds me of my pediatrician's office when I was a child. You guys know, like, scent is so tied to memories, and I don't know why I think of their office when I smell this. I don't know. Maybe they were handing out pistachio macarons to all of us. I never got any, but maybe they had them in the break room or something. I don't know. But for whatever reason, that's what this reminds me of. I definitely get the nuttiness in here from like a pistachio. Maybe a little bit of like, oh, this one's hard to describe. What else is in there? The marzipan cream. I do get like a vanilla bean and creaminess in here. I do get more of like a macaron note in here. I will say that there's more of a bakery note in this candle than the pistachio glazed donut, which I do have another one of those in my collection. That to me, I felt like that candle should have just been named pistachio glaze and the donut part omitted because there's no like dough, like fried dough accord in that fragrance. This to me, especially when it's burning, I do get a little bit of that like kind of like almond baked cookie type of note that would be in a macaron. But yeah, the pistachio note in here, there's just something that I liked it, but it's not backup worthy for me. And that one, I will say, I feel like this one started off kind of weak for me, but it did get stronger as I burned this candle a little bit more. Same story goes for the candle that I was burning with it, which is the Pistachio Cranberry Bark. Fragrance notes here of crushed pistachio, red cranberry, hazelnut puree, and vanilla bean. Now, this fragrance, I actually really, really like this scent. The more I smell it, the more I really like it. I actually feel like I should have burned this candle more so in the month of January. I feel like this is a really good like January, February type of fragrance because it's sweet, kind of candied, but not cloyingly candied. I get a little bit of cranberry in there, which is why I think like, okay, associated with fall. The pistachio note in here is not really detectable. I don't get that. I do get a little bit of like some nuttiness in here, but it's not necessarily pistachio. But again, this was a fragrance that was pretty weak for me starting out. In fact, the first couple of burns, I was like, I'm not really smelling anything on this. Halfway through, it picked up a little bit, but still this one only ended up being about a 6, like between a 5 and a 6 for strength and throw. It did okay in like in my bedroom, but out here in the open concept, the fragrance got lost. So this is another one that maybe if you get it on like a really deep discount, you would probably, if you come across it, say in one of the discount retailers, you might want to pick it up if you like the fragrance. I was also burning that with, I will talk about it in my November candle chat video, but I have been burning that with the the pistachio cranberry fragrance from Caramel Sundays. And that fragrance is really, really nice. And it's actually probably one of the better performers from me in terms of the Caramel Sundays brand. I'll talk about that more in that video. But anyways, this fragrance, I did like it. I wanted it to be a little bit stronger though. All right, speaking of caramel sundaes, let's go ahead and talk about Whoville Bakery. I did do a dedicated review on this candle. So the fragrance notes on this, it's basically like a vanilla cake fragrance minus the frosting. It's not really like it's not heavy on the buttercream frosting. You do get a little bit of sweetness in here, but it's definitely aiming to be more of like the vanilla cake accord. And I will say, it is a nice fragrance. It's not anything really to write home about for me. And also, that being said, this fragrance was, again, another candle that burned really well in a closed concept, did not do so well out in the open concept. But vanilla fragrances in general do tend to struggle a little bit in my home. They're never ever powerhouses. Usually, I think the highest vanilla fragrance I've ever had has maybe been like a 6 to 7, maybe. They just don't perform super well for me. So, this one, it was nice though. Now you can see the wicks on this. That was one of the things I said in my post-burn review on Caramel Sundays was that the wicks I do find on this one, I did need to trim them after 3 hours of burn because otherwise they were just producing a lot of excess soot. You can see around the rim here. Also, when this candle was first filled up, these wicks were pretty close to the edge, which I know makes a lot of people nervous. And I had mentioned in my post-burn review on this candle to just make sure that you don't burn it any longer than 3 hours. Let the wax completely cool, and then you can go ahead and relight it. Caramel Sundays is planning to do their restock, and it will be their final Christmas fragrances restock this Sunday, November, what is that? The 17th, I think. I say it's at, well, what time is that at? It's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is a little bit like Hunger Games style, so I would encourage you to go over to their website and check out what their offerings might be. So that way, if you text them and you get the early access code, you can go ahead and fill up your cart. But these go for $31.99, and I will say, like, for the strength and like the performance that I got for this, for the size of the candle, they do include shipping in that price. I don't know. It's a clean burning candle for the most part, and it's a small business. So if you're somebody who really likes supporting small businesses and you want a good, like, non-toxic candle, then yeah, it would be good for you. But for those of us who are accustomed to like really strong candles, I would just say so far, and again, I'll touch on this in the other video. The only one that I've gotten really good, strong performance out of has been the pistachio cranberry. The other ones are just kind of, we'll talk about it a little bit more. All right, another HOMEWORX candle that performed very well for me was Santa's Sangria. Fragrance notes here are citrus punch, cinnamon, vanilla bean, and tonka. Now, I did talk about in this one, I was surprised by how much I really love this fragrance. There is a lot of citrus punch in here, but it's not like summertime citrus punch. I think the addition of the tonka bean and a lot of those winter spices in here actually makes this seem like it is a drink that I would be sipping on at like a fancy holiday party. It's very festive, spicy, but again, you've got that citrus punch blend. I really, really enjoyed this candle, and I was really surprised because this was one that they offered to me in PR, and I was kind of like, okay, like I saw the fragrance notes and I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. But when it came in and I smelled it, I was like, oh, I actually like that a lot. And I got through it pretty quickly because I enjoyed burning it so much. Strength and throw on this one was a good solid 9 for me. Again, whenever you get some of those spicier fragrances, those fragrance accords tend to perform quite well in my home. So very happy to have had this one. Do I need to repurchase it right now? No, but it was a very nice fragrance that I finished up. Another candle that I do enjoy quite a bit, this is Highland Fir and Vetiver. Fragrance notes on this one are Siberian Fir, Lush Vetiver, Frosted Eucalyptus, and Cedarwood. I do tend to like vetiver in a lot of fragrances. I know that sometimes it can almost present or like give like maybe like a dirty earthiness to a fragrance. I kind of like that. I know I'm weird. Now this, you do get that fir tree in here. Now this is definitely more of like a woody tree scent, more so than say like a pine needle type of fragrance. I likened the fir note in here. If you happen to like HOMEWORX's Fireside Christmas Tree, it's a very similar fir note in here. They're different fragrances because that one has more of like a charred element to it, whereas this one doesn't. And this one has the vetiver, which gives a little bit, like I said, more of like a dirty earthiness to it. But I really, really liked this fragrance. Again, it was beautiful when it was lit up. And this one for me, strength and throw on this one was medium. I would say like between like a 6 and a 7. It wasn't super, super strong, but also noticeable. It wasn't going to be headache inducing or anything like that. Really nice fragrance. Again, another candle that if I didn't have a large collection and I wasn't always focused on trying to make sure that I'm burning new stuff for review, I would repurchase it. Let's throw in a Yankee candle here that I purchased, goodness, sometime over the summer. I want to say it was during Yankee's semi-annual sale way back in June, July. I think I got this candle for maybe like $9. So I don't typically like to burn paraffin wax. It's just not my favorite wax formula, nor do I really love the single wicks. Yankee candle always has a little place in my heart because my mom always burned Yankee way back, when I was growing up in the 90s. And anyways, this fragrance was a returning favorite and I was intrigued. It is Belgian Waffles. Now you see that there's a lot of wax left in here, even though it's an empty. Well, why is that? I did end up sticking this candle in my candle crock because first off, I love this fragrance. I think Yankee needs to bring this out in like the signature jars. They need to put this in their 3 wicks. I wish that they would put more fragrances in their 3 wicks because I tried a couple of their 3 wicks earlier this year and I really liked them. I felt like they were comparable to like Bath and Body Works, but I did get better performance for my home out of those 3 wicks than I do even get, well, definitely from what I get in this like single wick, and even more so than what I get. Some of their like 2 wick signature jars perform okay for me, but I find that the strength and throw and even those tends to be around a medium. But the 3 wicks that I tried from them earlier this year did pretty well for me. So I wish that they would come back with this fragrance in a 3 wick because I love this scent. This is like a really good, this is a good waffle scent. It's not overly sweet. It definitely just smells like freshly made waffles. No sugary syrupness. There's maybe a little bit of savoriness of butter on here, but I really liked this scent. And so what I did was I did end up putting it in my candle crock and I got about a week's worth of scent out of this. Really, really nice. And again, I could pair it with a lot of other fragrances. I was burning it like with the pumpkin cold brew, the cinnamon vanilla, a lot of my pumpkin scents. So Yankee, please bring this one in like a different wax formula because I really, really like the fragrance, but I don't like the paraffin wax on that one. And then I did also finish another Kringle candle from their Mercury lineup last year. So this is Fireplace from their 2023 Mercury jar lineup. I don't believe that Kringle is doing Mercury jars this year, by the way. Womp womp. They did just come out with their big 4 wicks. They have been, and we all know, like they release reserve fragrances. We always know Kringle's got something up their sleeve. We haven't been told of anything else that's in the works right now. But anyways, this was a fragrance that I did enjoy last year. One of my favorite pairings was burning it with their fragrance called Holiday. That one I actually, well, I'm almost done with one. I'm almost done with one of them. I have 3 of those in my collection. So the fragrance notes on this candle are smoke, wood, spice, herbal, amber, and vetiver. Now, those are the same fragrance notes that are listed on the Reserve line Smoke and Mirrors. I haven't gotten my hands on that Reserve candle, but I do believe that they, just seeing that they're the same fragrance notes, they're probably the same fragrance. This to me, I like it. It's kind of smoky. It's not super smoky. There's something about it that reminds me a little bit of a fire. Now, I will say my husband does not like this fragrance. He thinks it smells like burning plastic. That's what he told me. So I did go ahead and finish burning this candle outside just out of respect for him. But this was one that was in my collection and I thought, okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring it out for this time of year. I did finish it. Strength and throw on that one was about a 7 for me. It was decent for me, but it's, unless you want to purchase it in the Smoke and Mirrors, it's not available in those Mercury jars anymore. We're coming down the home stretch here, you guys. Almost done. Palo Santo Spruce from HOMEWORX. This was in their Christmas in July packaging over on QVC. I do believe that this fragrance is now available on the Slacken & Co. website. Fragrance notes of Palo Santo, blue spruce, fir needles, and spiced amber. And I remember when I did my dedicated review on this way back in July when this was available. I mean, it might still be available on QVC. This to me is not really like a holiday scent to me. It's definitely a tree scent, but it doesn't make me think of Christmas tree necessarily. It's definitely very fresh, um, fresh, outdoorsy type of scent. I think the Palo Santo actually kind of tones down some of the astringency that I would normally find from some of those more like pine needle type of fragrances. Yeah, the fir needles in here. And blue spruce can also come across very astringent to my nose. But I will say, I burned through one of these way back over the summertime because I was burning it with like what was I burning it with? Was it Palo Santo Vanilla from Bath and Body Works? I was burning it with like some other fragrances, and I was just like, wow, this is actually kind of a nice year-round fragrance if you like some of those more like fresh outdoorsy scents, almost slightly cologne-like. But it was really nice. So I did finish burning this one. This one was quite strong for me as well. Strength and throw about an 8 for me in terms, in terms of that. So do I need to buy another one of it? No, but I did enjoy it for what it was. And then here's the candle that you guys, I finished this candle in less than a week. I think in part because one day I just left this burning almost all day. Like I think I had this candle burning for like 12 hours or something. Do not do that with your candles, but you'll be happy to see that like even that it survived pretty well. What candle am I talking about? This is Countdown to Christmas. Again, it was another Christmas in July candle available on QVC. This one, HOMEWORX did send to me in PR way back in July. I was in no mood to be burning Christmas candles at that time because I am a seasonal burner. This to me, it's a tree fragrance. We've got pine needles, fir balsam, sparkling citrus, and clove spice. Now, I don't detect anything overtly citrusy in this candle. It was a tree scent. But I do think that there's a little bit, I think the clove spice in here again, and maybe whatever they're saying are the citrus accords in here, do keep this candle from getting too astringent for me. That is usually one of the most common things that I run into with a lot of tree fragrances. I like tree fragrances that embody some type of warmth to them. I don't like really like cool outdoorsy tree fragrances because I don't know. I like my home to feel warm in the winter. And so for me, I like warm, sometimes more woodsy type of tree fragrances. But I find that if there are other elements like some spices or some fruit or something mixed in with a lot of those pine needle type of fragrances, then it helps cut down the astringency because otherwise what my nose detects is cat pee. I know that sounds really bad, but it just is, is what it is. So yeah, I finished burning this one, I think within a week. I just kept burning and burning. I actually finished this candle last night. So I don't know if this one is available anymore. So yeah, that is it for all of the candles that I finished burning end of October, middle of November here. And I still have quite a few candles that I am still trying to turn through, get through. Now that my home is decorated for Christmas, what I am trying to do is I'm trying to finish what is left over. I don't want to say leftover, but some of the fragrances that, how do I put it? I'm reviewing them or like I'm burning them more so for review purposes. But once we hit Thanksgiving and after the Thanksgiving holiday, my mindset shifts very much. Christmas to me, more than any time of the year, is when I am the most nostalgic about the fragrances that I am burning in my home. And so I will do a video on that, letting you guys know what is in my Christmas. It's like my holy grail Christmas lineup. These are fragrances that year in, year out, these are pretty much the only fragrances that I truly enjoy burning in the month of December. So anyways, throughout the month of, starting late October, all throughout the month of November up until Thanksgiving, I have really been trying to give priority to burning the fragrances that are considered holiday or, like Christmas fragrances, but they're not like my all-star lineup. So yeah, anyways, we'll talk about that more in my November candle chat video, but there will be more empties to come at the end of this month. So let me know in the comment box down below. Have you purchased any of these candles? Are you still burning fall scents? Totally feel fine to like raise your hand and say, hey, I'm not ready for Christmas scents yet. Or maybe you're not even a seasonal burner at all and you just maybe you're burning fruity cocktail things. If that brings you happiness, then go for it. But yeah, let me know if you have burned through any of these candles, what your experience has been. lots of fun stuff I feel like coming up in the next month or so. But yeah, really, really just embracing the season. This is my favorite time of year, both for like home fragrance, for all of the lights, the decor, everything. I just love, love, love this time of year. So anyways, you guys, this video is long enough. Please, again, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you found this video helpful. Please consider subscribing if you're new. And I do want to say thank you so very, very much for spending your time here with me today. Until my next one, I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.